Hi, everyone. This is Coach Evita, and this week we are talking about our financial wellness. Many times we don't consider financial wellness to be an important factor when we talk about our holistic health and wellness. But we're finding that when people have difficulty in their finances, it affects every other area of their life. It affects you physically because the stress becomes too much. It can affect you emotionally and mentally because you're always thinking and about your finances and dealing with anxiety related to your finances. It deals with your nutrition because you may not eat well or you may overeat or binge on things that may not be healthy because you're stressed out. So, as we see, our finances play a big role in our holistic health. And so today we want to take a moment just to talk about that as we are on a journey to becoming healthy holistically, as we are building our wellness plan, if you will. We want to make sure that we don't negate the fact that we also need to make sure that our financial health is in order. Financial wellness refers to the state of being in control of your financial situation, having a good handle on if a financial setback happens, being able to track how you spend your money, being on track for your financial goals. It's about feeling secure and confident in your financial status or your financial health. But on the flip side of that, we have to talk about what is financial stress. According to the Financial Health Institute, financial stress is defined as a condition that is a result of financial and economic events that create anxiety, worry, or a sense of scarcity, and is accompanied by physiological stress response. So, in other words, it is something happening, like a car breakdown and you don't have the money, or trying to figure out how you're going to pay for a medical expense and not being able to take care of that. And so that stress now leads to anxiety and also can lead to a physiological response. So your body begins to react to what is happening. So you may get the headaches, or you may get the panic attacks, or you may start to feel the tension in your body. And that is a physiological response to having the financial stress. And so when we look at how does financial stress, financial issues impact our health, one of the first ways it impacts our health is in our physical health. We have been on a journey talking about our physical health and wanting to make sure that we have a healthy body. And so that comes with us talking about working out and us talking about how we eat, but also it talks about how we deal with the stress. And one of the major stressors in life is in our finances. I think it was a statistic I read that said that in 2024, 47% of people said they believe that 2024 has been the most stressful year of their lives financially. And so, poor financial health can lead to significant stress, which can cause a myriad of issues. You can experience your high blood pressure, headaches, heart disease, sleep disorders. You know, when you are highly stressed, you may not sleep. Some people may sleep more because they're depressed, but it can cause you not to sleep because your mind is up racing about the circumstance or situation at hand. But it also can weaken our immune system. The more our bodies are under stress, it begins to break down our immune system. And so then we are more susceptible to colds and virus. And you know, we are in still a COVID environment. And so as we stay unhealthy because we are stressed out, then we're weakening our immune system, which can now make us more susceptible to those illnesses that are out there. But also it can affect our emotional and our mental health. According to bankrate.com, 47% of US adults say that money negatively impacts their mental health. And oftentimes, if people are stressed out financially, if they don't have the means to deal with their finances, then they don't take care of their mental health. They're unable to afford the copay that they may need to pay to go see the therapist, or they may even feel some sense of shame that will keep them from going seeking the mental help that they need. And so financial stress can take a toll on our mental and our emotional lives. It can lead to anxiety and depression. And it says people with money issues tend to experience a higher level of anxiety and depression. And it also seeks it also tends to exacerbate their anxiety and depression symptoms. There's a decreased ability to concentrate because you're thinking about all the ways that you can't make ends meet or the money that you need, and so you can't concentrate on other tasks. There's a lowered self-esteem that comes into play, that you don't feel as good about yourself because you can't make basic needs. If you have never been in that situation where there is a basic need, a bill, a child's field trip funds, a sickness that comes and you need to be able to take care of that, you will understand what it feels like to have a lower self-esteem. But there's also an increased irritability that takes place, as well as mood swings and worry and fear, and sometimes almost like a paranoia starts to take place because you feel like you're not going to be able to make the bills. You feel like you might end up losing the house, losing the car. You won't be able to take care of the basic responsibilities of your life. And that can be quite stressful. And we don't want people to live in that tension and have that elevated mental health issue because they can't take care of something as simple as their finances. The top cited money related issue is the difficulty to pay for everyday expenses. We know, we've heard on the news how people talked about groceries being high. We went through a period where eggs were high in cost and people couldn't even buy things like eggs and butter. But when we look at our situations, those types issues can cause us to experience high levels of mental anguish, emotional anguish, where we get to a place where we are feeling defeated, we feel frustrated, we feel angry, we feel scared. Because nobody wants to not be able to make ends meet. Nobody wants to live in a place where they can't provide for the basic necessities, and that can cause great alarm. The American Psychological Association has found a great link between financial stress and the increase in anxiety and depression. Another area of our lives that gets affected when finances get out of control and we don't have a good handle, we don't have financial wellness, we have financial stress, is our key relationships in marriages. That one of the key ways that marriages begin to crumble is in the area of finances. When you're in the inability to communicate about your finances. And one of the things that I stress to people before they get married is make sure you have that conversation about how do we handle our finances. How have you handled it as a single person? How do you see you handling it as a married couple? How do you deal with issues when you might get into a period of financial strain, and what will be the way that the two of you work through that? But when we get into relationships with key people, and this even includes our children, because sometimes we spend so much time trying to appease them and help them to stay connected to their friends, so that we want to make sure they have everything that they desire, and not realizing the financial strain it puts upon us, then that causes some problems. So we have to learn how to communicate, because the lack of communication adds to that level of stress that's already being experienced through the financial difficulty. There is the strained relationship with family and friends, because you may not be able to go out with friends. And all of us have had friends who, some are doing better than others, and they want to do brunch every Sunday at these high end restaurants, and that may not be in our budget. And it causes stress because you don't want to be the one that has to say, I can't do that this week because I don't have the funds. And then there's the social isolation that comes with that, because you may feel embarrassed or you feel guilty that you don't have the funds to be able to do that. So that's now adding to the emotional and the mental strain, it's adding to the physical stress. And so that is now taking a toll on our physical health, and it all is related back to our financial health. But overall, we talk about total well being. And so when you talk about what happens when financial stress is experienced, and then you start to put it together with what's happening physically, what's happening emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, it starts to take a toll on our overall health. one of the areas that we also have to acknowledge as people who are believers and followers of God, that there are times when if you're getting into financial stress, that sometimes it can even get to a place where you feel like you can't pray, you can't focus on your faith, you can't believe God because of what you may be experiencing. Now, the truth of the matter is that sometimes when we get into financial stress, it is at our own doing, because as we live in a society where everything is placed on social media, there are many who feel like they need to compete or keep up with the Joneses, as the statement is made. And so the spending gets out of control because you're trying to keep up appearances. You're trying to drive the right car, live in the right neighborhood, wear the right clothes, be a part of the right associations, which come with membership fees. And all of that is now factored into our finances. Or you may be dealing with situations where you're not making enough. And so you have more expenses than you have money coming in. And so now you're dealing with those issues. And so you start to get into maybe a blame game, or you get into a frustration in your faith because you're like, God, why am I in this situation? And so all of these things begin to take a toll on our cumulative, our overall, our holistic health. And so we have to start looking at, what are my finances? What is the state of my finances? How can I begin to make some changes so that I can live a healthier life financially, that now I can live a healthier life, even physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and in every area of my life. And so, one of the ways that we can get to that place is through budgeting. I know many people don't like that word. By trade, I'm an accountant by day. And so, I am a person who is big on making sure that I know what my budget says. I know what I can afford. I'm not saying that I do it perfectly all the time, that there are certain times of the year where spending gets a little more than I usually would do, whether it's with vacations and celebrations and those type things. But I try to budget for those things, that I look at the year and I say, where are those key areas of the year? What is my vacation for next year going to look like? And how can I start budgeting for that vacation? Budgeting is a key factor for us in making sure that we get to financial wellness as opposed to experiencing financial stress. The second thing is debt management. And the way that we deal with debt management, one of the first things, even before budgeting, is that we have to track our expenses. We have to know, what do I spend daily? What do I spend weekly? What do I spend monthly? What do I spend in special times, whether it's birthdays, holidays, vacations? Tracking those things helps us to be able to build a realistic budget, but also helps us to look at, how do we manage our debt? What is my debt to income ratio? What am I dealing with in my credit card spending? How many credit cards do I have? How many loans do I have? Auto loans, home loans, personal loans, student loans. What are the minimum payments that I'm required to make on them, and what can I really afford, and what needs to be paid off? What are some things that I have just straggling out there? We have to get a handle on our finances so that we can manage our debt. And when we don't necessarily know what to do, we can also seek financial advice. That there are financial experts that we can tap into that can help us. Getting a financial coach may be something. One way to also look at it is that you might need to evaluate, do I need to use an avalanche method, or do I need to use a snowball method to pay off debts? In the snowball method, you pay off the smallest debts first, and then as you move and pay off one, then you start paying off the next and paying off the next until you have paid everything. Versus the avalanche method, where you may pay the minimum payment on each one, and then you take the leftover money that you would usually spend in paying the bulk of those things, and you pay off the highest interest one first. And so you have to start to look at, what do I need to do? How much are certain things? What can I afford to do? And if you need help, getting the help that you need to manage your finances. Thirdly, we can look at saving and investing. Do we have an emergency fund? It is recommended to have 3 to 6 months of your salary saved, 3 to 6 months of your expenses, that you know that you how much it costs for you to live in a month, and making sure that you have 3 to 6 months of that put aside in an emergency fund. So if you were to lose the job, if you were to have some type of emergency, that you would have these funds and that you will be able to pay your bills. You want to start saving a portion of your income regularly, that you want to make sure you pay yourself, that the same way you're paying bills, that you make sure you put some money aside for yourself so that you can pay yourself and you can invest as well. And if you don't know how to do those things, once again, getting a financial coach, a financial expert, someone who can help guide you, not take your money, but someone who can guide you with great advice and that can really be proven, you might want to seek into that. And also, we need to educate ourselves in finances. There are so many resources. You can go to Investopedia online. You can look at the financial gurus and read their books. There are so many out there um, that are now popping up on the scene, both from millennials all the way up to Gen Z, Gen X. And so we are seeing now that those who are in their 40s and 50s are the ones who are experiencing the greatest financial challenges, or they're feeling the greatest financial stress, because this is also a generation that is finding themselves in the middle. They are taking care of aging parents, but they also have children who are school age or may even be in college. And so you're in this dynamic. And as we are seeing also with the way our society is going right now, that even kids coming out of college are having some difficulties finding that first job, being able to take care of themselves. And so parents are also in that boat. So you want to make sure you get the financial education that you need, because we want to be financially literate so that we can make the right decisions that not only take care of our now, but also take care of our next. The Bible teaches us that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And so the way that we do that is not just only in money, but also that we do it in the information and the education and the knowledge and the wisdom that we're able to pass down to our children, and they can pass down to their children, so that we not see generations of poverty or generations of lack, but we see generations that are not only able to pay their bills, but also able to save and also able to be a blessing to others. And that's what we want to be able to do. We don't want just money so that we can just take care of our needs, but we also want to be able to be a blessing to somebody else. So we want to make sure that we do what we need to do on our side. So one, we're not financially stressed. We are walking in financial wellness, but also we're able to impart that into others, and we're also able to be a blessing. So I pray that we understand the necessity of financial wellness, because financial wellness impacts our physical health, our spiritual health, our emotional health, our mental health, and our financial health. And so we want to make sure, if we're saying that we want to live holistically well, if we want to live exceptionally beyond the standard, the way that we do that is also in our finances. So we want to take control of our finances now. We know we're coming up on a season where we'll be moving into the holidays soon. Have you started to consider how much you will be spending in holidays, from feeding people to also being able to buy gifts? We are in the school season where college students are going away to school. Do we know how much that we need to be able to set them up for success? How much do they need to start putting away and looking at their finances so that they can go through college well? Then all of these things are very important to our relationships, to our health, to our wellness, to our mindset, to our overall well-being. So I pray today that we take this challenge seriously, we take this information seriously, and we make the investment in ourselves, in our families, in our bloodline, to take care of our finances, to get on track with our finances, and to make sure that we can have a better future than our past. So until next time, I pray that you live exceptionally, live well, and that you have an exceptional life.